Good morning to you all, the students of Karnataka State Open University, Department of Studies and Research in English. And you all aware of that there are two cycles, July 2021 cycle as well as the January 2022. So both the students are here in this platform. So I once again welcome you all to this 5 days online contact program organized by the Karnataka State Open University, Department of English, Mysuru. In the previous class, hope you all remember, a couple of months ago, I had addressed all of you regarding the induction program, the how the department functions, the faculties, the syllabus, and everything. I addressed you for almost half an hour and hope you are all benefited from the lecture. And today, the classes will be conducted from today onwards on all the 5 days program. So all the 5 faculties of the department will deliver lectures on the various, the text have been prescribed in the syllabus. By now, all of you are aware of the syllabus, the first semester choice-based credit system, the first semester English syllabus you are all aware of. You all are acquainted with the text and the syllabus and even the study materials, self-learning materials, the instructional materials. The instructional materials, the first time prepared as per the template, by the open distance learning, the instructional mode, how the student and the teacher will interact with one another in that nature, in that mode. Of course, you all have gone through now and you all are familiar with the text. And coming back to the syllabus, so the first paper, that is hardcore 1, we have English literature from Chaucer to Milton. And the second paper we have, that is Shakespeare. And the third paper, Restoration and 18th Century English Literature. And the fourth paper, the Shakespearean Sonnets and Criticism. And the fifth paper, Comparative Literature. And the students who have selected the open elective, that is interdisciplinary course. For that particular course, the classes will be organized further. But in this 5 days program, it is exclusively for our students, MA English student, choice-based credit system students of first semester. In the first paper, that's a hardcore 1, look at the title, the English literature from Chaucer to Milton. It means the literature from writings from Chaucer till the Milton. We cover all the major canonical forms, the major literary texts, the classic text, all the representative text. For instance, in the first, the block, we have the background. We understand the background, the socio-political and cultural record, the document that you come across. Because every text written based on certain historical the document. Hope I am very much audible to you all people, and you all hope if my voice is clear and audible, you can just drop me a message so that I proceed with my lecture. And in the second block, we have Geoffrey Chaucer's The General Prologue, which is considered as the masterpiece, the classic text of 14th century English literature. So the next writer we have, that is the John Bunyan, The Pilgrim's Progress, and the John Milton's The Paradise Lost, Book 1. And further, we have also representative poets of that particular period. We have metaphysical poets, the religious poets, John Donne, and his classic poems like The Good Morrow, the Canonization, the Valediction Forbidding Morning, the way he employ the different technique called metaphysical conceits, the far-fetched imageries. And he has his own unique way of dealing in his poetry, the using of languages. So after that, we have another very important The poet here, that is, we have the George Herbert. The George Herbert is a religious poet. And later on, we have the Andrew Marvell. Okay, and he's also a metaphysical poet. And we have a John Milton's the classic poem that's a Lycidas, which is itself is an elegy, and Horny's Blindness, a sonnet. And we have other important plays, that is Christopher Marlowe's The Dr. Faustus. It's a Renaissance play, the mystery and morality play. And we have Ben Jonson Wolfenin, a comedy of humors, a comedy play. So all these poets, we have Geoffrey Chaucer, the John Bunyan, the Milton, John Donne, George Herbert, Andrew Marvell, John Milton, Christopher Marlowe, and Ben Jonson, all the representative poets of the English literature. Even before the 14th century, it was the oral tradition in the form of the folk, the narrative poetry developed by orally, not written documents. But gradually, over a period of time from 13th to 14th century, the writings, the genre have developed significantly well, the profoundly very well. So today's lecture that I'm going to teach you a text, a narrative poem, a long narrative poem, a classic text that is the General Prologue, written by Geoffrey Chaucer. After my introductory remark, probably for almost the 45 to 50 minutes, we have almost completed 7 to 8 minutes. So I'll cover up the remaining hours, remaining minutes, the entire text. So every text will be dealt some introductory remarks. And every text to be understood the sweet kernel of the text, the integral part of the text. And after that, we come into the logical end, the conclusive remarks. So everything for that matter, we have an introductory remark, an introductory note, again, the sweet kernel of the text, and after that we have the how we have to conclude the text. So today's text, that is the General Prologue, even much before we understand the text, we should aware of certain political and historical background of the text. For example, if I ask you to go through, if I ask you to read the text, the Canterbury Tales, the mere reading of the text, it doesn't serve the purpose. Then what you have to do? You have to understand the historical background. For example, when you read the English literature, of course, we are reading the British writings, literature from UK, America, Australia, Canada, Caribbean, Indian literature, everything. So there is a kind of universality in literature, because literature, it is written in throughout the part of the world. So in the first day, we are completely concentrating on the British writers, the England, the UK, and how literature popularized during that time in the 14th century. So here, when we talk about the General Prologue, what are the basic things that we should keep in our mind? What are the things that we have to keep in our mind before we reading a text? Before reading a text, while reading a text, after read the text. So these are the concepts that you have to understand. So before reading a text, and while reading it, and after we have completed the text. So how a text can be assessed? If you look at today's, the recent literary theories, we understand the major texts like, the Death of an Author and Derrida's deconstruction. All these two theories are applied to, all the literary texts, irrespective of, time. So here, understanding mere text of the Canterbury Tales, we should also understand what are the fundamental things that we should aware of. One is the writer who is writing the General Prologue. After reading, and we are all become a different individual, a critic, and how we are going to assess the text. And today, I'm giving you the mere, the text in the nutshell, giving the entire text in a nutshell, and after that, my own interpretations. Because as I quoted, the famous critic Roland Barthes, The Death of an Author, the moment the reader born, the writer dies. So every text is a readerly text. So that, keeping aside, and here I'm coming back to the text, that is Canterbury Tales. Before you reading this text, you should understand the 4 important concepts. The point number 1, you should understand the political conditions in the 14th century. What was the condition during 14th century? Point number one. To understand the reasons for the end of the feudalism and the growth of nation, and every country was under the custody of the bureaucracy, the monarchy system. So even before the country the formed as a nation, so what was the monarch, and how did it impacted on the writings? So every text has a political, the cultural and historical background to provide the students with the historical perspectives of the age. So here, when you read the Canterbury Tales, the prologue to the Canterbury Tales, when you look at the syllabus, in the first text that you come across in the first semester, that is the general prologue. So you need to have a historical perspective, the historical background while you understand this text. And all the students should familiarize the representative text. This is not the only text which that you are completely reading based on the title of the text, because every text they represent one or the other way to give a holistic picture of that particular period. So we have taken all these major writers like John Bunyan, Geoffrey Chaucer, and Milton, and all the poets, and titled as English Literature from Chaucer to Milton. Let us come back to this text. This is the text, the prologue to the Canterbury Tales, written by Geoffrey Chaucer. Now, I have to go a little further to express my, the introductory remarks on the text first. For example, see everything. For example, literature, it is a part of an artistic entity. So every writer has a vision while writing a text. So Geoffrey Chaucer here has an artistic vision. What is the purpose of the Geoffrey Chaucer in portraying or depicting the character here? So he has his own artistic portrayal. He depicts the character with the minute observation. This text considered as a realistic text, known for the realism. So there is an artistic process, there is an artistic vision, and there is an artistic portrayal, in developing this text. Whether it's a reality or whether it's a fiction, one needs to have the artistic vision, artistic portrait, genuine writing. Whether you are going to write a fiction or whether to write a reality based. So here. I must tell you that Geoffrey Chaucer has been acclaimed as the father of English poetry. If somebody asks you who is the father of English poetry, this is Geoffrey Chaucer, who has been proclaimed, has been acclaimed as a father of English poetry. And this particular poem, that is the Canterbury Tales, it is an example for the finest example for narrative poem. When we're talking about the Geoffrey Chaucer, it has also become a very crucial and evident to talk about other contemporary poets of Geoffrey Chaucer. Who are they then? The other contemporary poets of Geoffrey Chaucer during the 14th century England. We have the Wycliffe, who completely talks about religious reformation. See, every text for that matter, it has economic, socio, political, cultural, artistic merits in it. If you look at Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, we have looked into different angle of the society, different sect of the society, different divisions of the society. All the divisions of the entire society are represented in this text. There are people from religious group, there are people from the clergy, there are people from merchantine, there's a people from the doctor, medicine, profession, and a different profession. So all the different the divisions of the society are there in the text. So we call this Canterbury Tales as a microcosm of the entire world. The different character they represent, and every living characters in the current the contemporary life. So I was talking about his contemporary writers. That's a Wycliffe, and who talks about the religious information, is another contemporary poet. Other poet called the John Gower, who expressed the fears of people arising out of peasants' revolt. So another poet, the John Gower, he talks about the revolt, the peasants, the farmers revolt against certain economic changes, the political changes in the society. And another important poet called William Langland, he talks about the rampant corruption in the church. So the Langland, he talks about the completely, exclusively on the corruption which takes place in the church. So every poet, these four poets, we have a Chaucer, Wycliffe, Gower, and the Langland. All the four poets have their own genuine, they have their own genuine, concept to deal here. And whereas the Chaucer, he has a poetic eye, covered the wide canvas of humanity, people from all walks of life. So he portray the people from all walks of life. So Geoffrey Chaucer was a remarkable for many significant political, religious, and social literary activities. And this text, because you can read and understand the text because we have supplied you the study material. But when it comes to giving you a highlight, giving you the background of the text is much more important. Even that's what we expect you to put forth in your examinations. How a student, how a reader, he understood very well the background of the text to write in his examination, how the text represents the different directions. All this very, very important. So the Canterbury Tales has a universal appeal. His characters, Geoffrey Chaucer characters, are present even today in the society in one or the other form. So we can look at ourselves into the characters of Geoffrey Chaucer in this particular, the poem. So here, Geoffrey Chaucer, he describes with some kind of the humanism and humor and realism, because he's called as a true humanist. So he's a humanist, and he's a humorist. He gives a sense of comic elements to some characters, and he's the one who is called as a realistic because he portray the realistic characters in the poem. There is one great critic called T.H. Ward. He's a contemporary, very popular critic. What does he say about Chaucer? Chaucer is the first painter of character because he's the first great observer of it among European writers. No other European writers has observed the society as Geoffrey Chaucer. So Geoffrey Chaucer is a keen observer of the society. And what is the purpose of writing this? The Canterbury Tales. What made him to write so? This is very, very important. See, there was, here we come across there are three different, as I told you, the different sect of the society. One is called as ecclesiastical. Ecclesiastical in the sense the religious group of people. The major characters we have here is like the prioress and the monk and many other religious characters. And here, through them, Geoffrey Chaucer, he bitterly satirizes a critic on them, saying that these religious characters, there are 29 characters along with the host and the poet in the Canterbury Tales. The Canterbury Tales, the Canterbury Tales in the text, there are 29 characters, including the host, including the Geoffrey Chaucer, the poet himself. So among the religious the characters that represent the decaying of religious conditions of the 14th century England. We could find out how the 14th century English society was completely decayed only in the division, the branch of religion. The religion was completely deteriorated. It is decayed and degenerated. And this is what he's talking about. One of the main rampant reason is that the most important event was the Black Death, was struck England for many times. So the people of London have been died, they were killed due to this Black Death. So what happened? So they have the belief, in case if they go to Thomas à Becket, the Holy Shrine, which is there in the Canterbury. So they believe that the disease will be cured, the people will be blessed. So Chaucer, he portrayed this text, that's a prologue to the Canterbury Tales, where all the characters, 29 characters, they formed, they created a group, and they reached a place called Tabard Inn, and they started the journey towards the Canterbury, the way Thomas Becket's The Holy Shrine is situated. So all the pilgrimages they gathered in one place, and they decided to go. They decided to go to the Canterbury, where all the pilgrimages, all the the pilgrims, they flocked together and decided to go to Holy Shrine, to the temple, and to take the blessings from the God. So this is the belief that they had. And the famous critic the famous poet and a critic called John Dryden called this: I see all the pilgrims, their humors, their features, and their very dress as distinctly as if I had supped with them at the Tabarding Southwark. He felt, the moment I've read the text, I feel that I also joined this group and joined the group where they were gathered, a place called Tabarding. It's a hotel. It's a hotel. And I also had supper with them. I also had some food with them. Though while reading the text, he felt such an imaginary setup. The imaginary, the notion came to his mind, and he calls this text as the Canterbury Tales. It is here is a God's plenty. The God dwells in this poem. So this is what he told here. And now coming back to the poem. So I'm coming back directly to the poem to analyze what has happened in the text. So this is how the poem begins. All of you are aware of. See, the poem, the prologue to the Canterbury Tales begins like this. Befall. So this is how it begins. Start early, and the next day, even before that, there is a line that's befell that in that season on a day, in Southwark at the Tabard as I lay, ready to go on my pilgrimage. Look at the line, how it begins with. That means it begins all the the pilgrims, they're ready to undertake a journey. Befell that in the season on a day, in Southwark at the Tabardin, as I lay ready to go on my pilgrimage. So here, the pilgrimage, the journey started during a spring season, April season. And this is what the descriptions of the awakening of the nature in springtime, the season of travels and pilgrimages. And why they start the journey during the April time? Because it is the spring season. They started the journey during the spring season because this is the time where it's a season for travels and season for pilgrimages. So they started the journey. So there is a poetic beginning of a religious pilgrimages, because the people from different you know uh, community are gathered here. Some, as I told you, some represent the religious group, some represent the mercantile class, some represent the scholars, some represent a common people, and some represent the knights. Okay, and people in the Middle Ages measure time in terms of seasonal changes and church festivals. There was a practice in Christianity. There was a practice in 14th century London. The people, they were undertaking a journey during a particular month. So here they start the journey in April season, and they believe that the March was generally a dry and windy month, and April showers month, and May the month of flowers. So there is a proverb called April showers make Mayflowers as a proverb. So in April there is a rain. So in the May, the all the flowers they blossom, and there is a kind of a richness in the nature. So this is the time. It's the better to take journey towards any places, any holy places. So what happens? So all the characters, they are here. This is the spring season, and they undertake a journey, and they start the journey towards the famous place the called that is the Canterbury. See, I must tell this very important line. So Chaucer, he tells that in the month of April, when the spring showers bring freshness and life to all the plants, so there is a liveliness, there is a life in the entire the spring season. Because when you look at the other important poet, that is John Keats in his poem "Ode to Autumn," season of mist and mellow fruitfulness. So it is the autumn season, The spring season is an autumn. Spring season is such a season the where there is a richness, there is a bounty, there is a kind of a richness in the season. So people can start the journey and they can enjoy that the spring season. And he said that this April is a spring season, so all the pilgrims they started the journey because they want to take they want to take a blessing from the martyr, called Thomas a Becket. Either he's a saint, he's a martyr for the Christianity, because the entire country was suffering from the Black Death. If you look at your study material, you understand the entire description, so much of description extensively described about the Black Death and how the entire UK has suffered from that. So that has been given there over there with a descriptive, the picturesque style. So here he say that all the pilgrims, the people plan to go to pilgrimages, particularly because something has to be reformed. There is a reformation is required. Even before there was a decay, there was a degeneration. On the Avanatiya Hadi, people they haven't practiced the God, they haven't completely religious. So what happened? So all this is taking place. The diseases, the plague, the Black Death are taking places. So people believe that yes, we should go to the holy shrine. We should believe the God. So all the 29 characters they flocked in a place called Tabard. The host name is Hairy Belly. The Hairy Belly is the owner of the Tabard, and he accommodated them. He gave them a place to everyone along with the poet, and they decided to start the journey from the Tabard and towards the Canterbury. So this should come to your mind much before we understand a few characters. Okay, and coming back here, at the supper, the host of the Tabard, at the before they start the journey, they have to take a supper. They have to take the supper, and where the host, that's as I told you, the Hairy Belly, he tells that he proposes that on the journey to Canterbury, each of them should tell two tales. Come here, all the characters, the 29 characters, while going to the Canterbury Tales, you all have to tell two stories. This is the commitment that all of you. Okay, some of you are talking about the books and the syllabus. The syllabus is there in the website, in the program guide. Books are always almost a month ago they have uploaded in the website. So you can always put any queries, the questions related to the text. Okay, not the syllabus, not the notes, because all the notes and the syllabus are uploaded almost a couple of months ago. Please make use of them. So here your only concentration should be there within this text, that is a Canterbury Tales. So what happened at the time of the supper, before they start the journey? So this the host, he tells everyone, proposes that on the journey to Canterbury, each of them should tell two tales. You all have to tell two tales, and two more on the return journey. Even while coming back from after we have taken blessed from the God, and while the returning journey, we have to tell two stories. So all the pilgrims they agreed, and you know what he says? He says that the best storyteller will be rewarded. The one who tells the best story will be rewarded. Will be rewarded with a supper. This is what the host he tells everyone. And so that if they tell stories, their tediousness will be relieved. He offers to travel with them and act as a master of ceremony. So even Geoffrey Chaucer, he decided to go along with his host as well as all the pilgrimages, and he's there as the keen observer. He's there as the mouth speaker of all these characters. He speaks on behalf of them, and there is there is. So I'm teaching a text called, I've looked at the public chart. Some of you are texting. I'm teaching a narrative poem, the long narrative poem, a classic text called The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. Okay, and I want all of you to comment or put forth your comments, questions only in the chat box pertaining to the text. You have to listen it carefully. Okay, then you ask the question only in terms of today's class. Don't about the study material or your assignments or about your the syllabus. This is not the time. This is completely for your class as such. So coming back here, so I told you they have made a decision that yes, all the characters they have to tell the stories. He offers to travel with them and to act as a master of ceremony. So he speaks on behalf of them. And the rest of the pilgrims are to submit to his judgment as to which of them tell the best story, and the best storyteller among them is to be given a supper. The one who tell the best story will be given a supper. This is what they decided. Yes, only the soft copy materials is provided to you people. Okay, and then so what happened? So this decision is accepted by all of them. Yet they decided to take a journey, and they started the journey. So there are, as I told you, there are completely 29 characters are here. So I tell you the characters one by one. Which are the 29 characters? So we have the knight, is a brave knight, is a soldier. The brave is chivalries. He's excellent in horse riding, and you can even see in the study materials where there is a deep description is given over there on the knight. He's the first character. We have the square and the yeoman and the nun, monk, the friar, merchant, the clerk, the lawyer, and then here we have the franklin, and we have the five guildsmen, the cook, the shipman, the doctor, the wife of bath, the parson, the plowman, the miller, the municipal, the reeve, summoner, the partner, and the host. So there are around 29 characters in this the poem, that is the Canterbury Tales. So now what I do, I describe the important characters are here. There are five important characters. So after this deep description, the introduction about the Canterbury Tales, you make use of all these points, and you put them in a paper and give a logical hand and understand them clearly, and give a cognitive the picture to it, and make use of them for your exam point of view. These are the important concepts that have dwelt on only the introductory remarks about the text. So now I'm going to analyze the five important characters. They're the very, very important characters. I want you to listen very carefully, understand very carefully, and whatever the doubt that you have, you can just put forth your the questions only pertaining to these characters that I analyze. Okay, all of you are talking about your study materials and the syllabus. Don't talk about that. This is the platform where you have to understand this poem and make use of this 5 days program, so that that really helps you for your exam point of view. So, as I told you, I have mentioned very important concept. One is the artistic portrayal, and the artistic vision, and the artistic process. Every writer has this the talent when he describes, when he analyzes the characters. So I want to discuss the five important characters among 29, and these important characters are certainly appear in your exam, and so we expect you to put even more emphasis, even more clarity, even more the minute observations in your examinations. So the first important characters that I am going to describe here is, that is knight, Knight. The first important characters, the prologue to the Canterbury Tales of Geoffrey Chaucer, it begins with this character. So Chaucer is he's so happy, and he's very much concerned about this character, because he is a nobleman. Among all the 29 characters, according to Chaucer, this knight has some nobility in him. So let us see how these characters is a very important here. How does Chaucer he describe this character in the Canterbury Tales? Shall we look into that? So the first important character that you have to listen very carefully, that is knight. So he's the knight is a very the fine specimen of chivalry. Chivalry is in the sense he's a nobleman, he's a respectful person. He in his knighthood, and he's known for an excellent horse rider. So he's a nobleman, he's a respectable man, and he's a specimen of chivalry. Chivalry, in the sense, as I told you, he's a nobleman. There is a nobility in him. So he's a hero of thousand fights. If you look at his history, he fought many, many wars, and he's the hero of the thousand fights. He's a good at that. His valor is tempered by gentleness and modesty of behavior. If you describe his, the character, we understand he's a man of valor, the very powerful, the knight. And he's a hero. He's considered as a hero because he fought in thousands of fights in the war fields. So Chaucer, he considered him as a nobleman because he's there to always serve the country. There is a patriotism in this character. He is a true patriot. That's what the Chaucer tells. So he's a valour, he's a tempered, and he's the gentle, and he's a the modest. There is a modest. Yeah, okay. There is a modest in him, and some of you are asking the questions. Okay. Uh, okay, coming back here, the behavior. So, as I told you, he is a model for bravery, and he's a courtesy and the temperament. He has that, the kind of the temperament, and as well as the bravery, and he's known for his the modest behavior. So that's the important part, important concept about the characteristic of this character, that is the knight. And after that, he was born to serve in war. Half of the descriptions in his portrait is devoted to the battles the knight fought. So we could only see him in the battlefield because he bound to serve over there. So this is another important. His fighting career is very impressive. He fought in Alexandria and Africa. Where at the place where he fought? He fought in the place called Alexandria and Africa, and even in Armenia and the Russia, in the Moorish kingdom and the Mediterranean. Most of them in modern, the phraseology are the Christian materialism. Consider he is the best, the man of chivalry, the best, because he saw the best in the warfield. And his personal qualities, his love of honor, the truth and courtesy. Is known for his character called demeanor, known for honor, known for truth, known for courtesy, and may be traced to the medieval world of chivalric romance. And after that, we come across about this character. He is, he appear in he joins all the 29 characters. How does he appear? How does he appear himself before the characters? This is how he wears a kind of coarse cloth. His cloth is very, the coarse, very rough, and it indicates as though he just came from the warfield. So there is no pretentiousness in this character. And I told you, an honorable place was given to him as a mark of distinction. So in the journey, when they start the journey toward the Canterbury, in the place, they have given him a very honorable place, and where everybody respects him. In fact, it is a knight who tells the first story which is appropriate to his rank. I told you once, when they start the journey, they have to tell stories, and knight is the one who told a first story, and he has his own set of standards and the distinction. So, and I told you he wears a kind of coarse cloth. The cloth was very rough and very thick, and he does not bother to remove the stains of his dress. There are a lot of stains in the dress, and he didn't even bother to. Okay, uh, good. Lata is following is because all the essential features. And yes, see, this certainly helps you when you write your introductory remarks in your answer book. And whatever I'm just describing so far since 10 to 15 minutes, I'm just dealing the present text. I'm explaining an important character called Knight. Okay, you listen it very carefully. And and then you can look into your study material and you will thoroughly understand the text. So I want all of you should completely, focus on this particular text, and some of your messaging regarding text, sending text regarding the assignments and all that will be sent further after a couple of weeks, and you don't bother about it. And and uh, and further, and coming back here, so the knight is such a person. So he wears a kind of coarse cloth. He does not bother to remove the stains of his dress or an armor before going to the pilgrimage. And he didn't even bother, he didn't even change his dress. He simply came from the warfield, and he's joining all the 29 characters. And fresh from the battlefield, and he hastened at once to perform the pilgrimage without changing his attire. So he suddenly he came and he joined the group. So now the Chaucer, our poet, the narrative poet, our important the 14th century poet, is talking about okay, and so he's the first character, and he described here. And we have another important the character, the second character, the way Geoffrey Chaucer it describes. So I told you there is a platform where all the 29 characters are there, and Geoffrey Chaucer he has an observer. He's describing each and every character in this Canterbury Tales. And we know the purpose. The purpose is to go to Canterbury to take the blessings. The reason is very simple. The reason is that the people were suffering from so many diseases, and they were died of the Black Death, and they died of the plague disease, and they decided to go to Canterbury Tales because there is the people they did not believe the God, the kind of religious um, uh, the belief was not at all there during the time. So now they're aware of, yes, we should get back to the God. The God is there to there's a benefactor who looks after, who bless everyone. So now they realized it is as simple as the universal fact. We undertake a journey all the temples and the holy places to take the blessings and from the God. So come back here. Another important character after the ninth, the Chaucer described this character, that is prioress. The prioress, she's a nun, and how does he portray her character? How does he depict her character here? So now, okay, coming back here, this character, the prioress is the head of a religious establishment. She was the head of a religious establishment. This is the spellings, Prioress. You can look it in the text. So after the night, so this is the second important character, the way Geoffrey Chaucer he analyzes, that is the prioress. She is the head of the religious establishment. She's the custodian. She takes care of everybody over there. And she was perhaps educated in the Benedictine nunnery. Benedictine nunnery is a place where she was educated. Okay, that is a Benedict, is a religious place where she was trained, she was studied. Subsequently, she became the lady superior of the nunnery chapel. So she understood very well the gospels and understood the religious script, and she was very good at all these religious practices. And immediately she became a lady superior of the nunnery chapel. And to understand her, refinement and a little vanity are expressed in her features, dress, and manners. And the prioress, another important quality of her. So here is a characterization I told you. Another important character that we come across here. The prioress, she hails from an aristocracy family. She's from an aristocracy family, and she's good looking and fashionable too. A well-shaped nose and a delicate mouth are pleasing attributes. These are the features of this character that the prioress. In a way, Chaucer he uses a satire, ridiculing, or he commenting certain their mannerisms so minutely, and you will also understand when you read the text in detail. So what happened? There is a vivid account of her table mannerisms is given. So she has her own set of mannerism in the when she goes to have a food. So that is called as a table mannerisms. So what was that? So without dropping a morsel, when she have a food, when she will have a food, she eats it without dropping a single morsel. Morsel ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಚೂರು ಅನ್ನದ ಹಗಳು ಆಗ್ಲಿ, whatever, not even a drop of food she drops from the table. Such a delicately she would have a food. And then there is the pendant on which a motto from Virgil is engraved in her the dollar. She wears a dollar where there is a pendant and there is a line is engraved over there. What is that? Love conquers all. The love wins all. So this is the line that is engraved on her pendant. That's a dollar. The love conquers all. So this is we come across about this character, the prioress. So the prioress, she adopts a fancy name on taking a religious vows. She has another name called a name called Madame Egaltine. The Madame Egalitine, it is a name is given to the prioress. So Jeffrey Chaucer, he describing each and every character, the portraying their characters, how their mannerisms, how they dress, how they conduct, what was there. He's giving a kind of an introduction to about each and every character in this Canterbury Tales, the poem. There are 29 characters. So as I told you, I analyze only three, four characters. Then I'll leave you people to read from the study material, which is already given to you in the website. And to talk about a little further about the prioress, and she has an elegant dress and her taste for music. And and we wonder whether the Chaucer intends to present the prioress as a lady more devoted to secular refinement than a spiritual virtue. So there is a dichotomous between the Chaucers. There is a dilemma in him whether is she a completely secular refinement or whether there is a spiritual virtue in it. Though she is completely has her own set of the mannerisms, and she very much refined in her conduct. So there is a question: is she really a religious or a secular, or a kind of a refinement in terms of a religious attitude? And after that, we have another important character, that is monk. So a monk, he is also a religious group, and the in most of the details, the monk betrays calling of medieval monastic life, and he was not at all fit to this post. He was not fit enough to function as a monk, because what was his practices? How does he behave? And this we come across here, because he takes more pleasure in hunting. He used to hunt than in strict obeying the rules of his order. He doesn't follow the strict rules of the religious monarchs system, but whereas he's take a lot of pleasure in hunting, for example, birds or animals and all that. So what happens here? So the monastic orders were governed by certain rules laid down by the founders. But whereas our person, this the monk, he was not able to follow that. The rule of Saint Benedict was the oldest. The Saint Augustine was a Benedictine monk. He advised the clergy to have certain rules and regulations, strict monastic life. But whereas this monk, he was not at all completely following them. Then what does he do that? He often went on his horse wearing expensive boots and riding across the estate. He enjoyed listening to the bridle jingles. He always takes a horse riding, and he enjoys the noise while they're take a riding and all that. And he was there is the kind of a silliness, the frivolous, and the character in him, because he was fond of hunting a mare because it made a nice dish to him. So mare is it's a horse, it's a female horse, and he makes a nice dish out of it, and he used to hunt that mare, because hunting is forbidden to the clergy people. Then those who belong to the religious group, they're not supposed to make a hunt. They're not supposed to do the hunting, but whereas this man does it because he makes a nice dish out of it. So here, and the monk, he enjoys the comforts of monastic life. He's living an utterly worldly life. There is a mundane life, there is a worldly life, rather than living a life of religious sanctity. So that we come across in this character. So what is worse, he makes fun of monastic rules he's supposed to maintain. Chaucer is therefore harsh in his treatment of the character. So, as I told you, Geoffrey Chaucer, a poet, is completely satirizing, and he's ridiculing, or he's bitterly commenting the how the religious there is a corruption in the religious institutions. How the best example is today's the monk we are reading here. So the monk was not completely fit enough to this. For this profession. This is what he's saying here. So another important character we have come across here is that is the wife of Bath. So wife of Bath, she has her own skillful in cloth making. It's a very interesting character, a very important character. I want you to be, you want to listen it very carefully. So she was wedded 5 times. She married 5 times. She's a great stickler for her dignity and rights of precedent in the church. She has her own principles in conducting herself, and the wife of Bath has bold features. She was very bold. I told you she is good at cloth making, and she married 5 times, and she has a bold features, and she's attractive as well as outspoken. She was very outspoken. Who is that? The wife of Bath, the important character here. She's slightly deaf and gap tooth. She's slightly deaf, and there is a gap tooth in her. And she wears a red riding shirt, expensive footwear, and her handkerchief are a fine texture, and since she was skillful in cloth making, and she has a very the different cloth fine structure in a handkerchief because she was excelled in that. She was good in that. And she wears a head gear inordinately large and elaborate, common during the time. She talks loudly. She talks more than she listens. She's such a character where she talks a lot and more than she listens. So this is the character of and wife of Bath. She goes every day to the church very regularly, and she has traveled widely. That is another important character about her. She had an extensive trip. She has traveled widely apart from the night, and she's the only pilgrim who knows a great deal of wandering. So she also, she wandered a lot. She made a lot of journey expedition, and she went on to a pilgrim to Jerusalem thrice. So the wife of Bath, she had been to Jerusalem thrice. So that itself indicates how she was, a fascination for the pilgrimages. She had been to the shrine of Saint James and more than thrice. And what happened? The Chaucer, does not specify whether she went on to holy places with a devout intention or fun of enjoyment. Chaucer himself is a very much skeptic about this character, whether she had gone to these places, whether out of for religious, the belief, otherwise out of intention with the enjoyment. So her vibrant presence is called to the monastic world, which destroys women sensual vitality. And her attractive disposition, her marital adventures are very much clearly shown in this character. And she was a very much sociable in her conduct. She mingles with everyone. She calls and she talks to everyone. She's a very lady of a sociable. And there is one other word that the Chaucer calls her has, and she is a loquacious in her behavior. Loquacious in the sense one who talks so much, one who keeps talking without giving a pause. And another important character we have, that is a parson. So far the knight, so far the prioress, and so far the monk, and so far the wife of Bath. Chaucer, there is a sense of ridiculing. There is a sense of satirizing, except the knight among these three characters. The last important character that we have here is that is the parson. So here, the Chaucer, he glorifies the parson. How does it glorify? What are the important qualities of this character? Uh, okay, so this is the character. This is one. The parson, he is an embodiment of all that a clergyman should be. So he's an embodiment, he's an epitome of and how a clergyman should be. He's a priest of spiritual virtue. He has his own principle, a religious, the virtue in him. And he's man of simplicity, the parson, and unselfishness, the honest, learning, open-handed charity. And he scrupulously practiced, very carefully practiced what he preached. So whatever he practiced, whatever he preaches, so there is the hand in hand. There is a connection one another. What he preaches, what he teaches, he practiced that. So this is the very genuine qualities of this parson. So he scrupulously practiced what he preached, and he sought to draw people to a better life by example and kindliness. So he's the one who highlights the humbleness, the kindliness, and the being simple, and the being demure in the demeanor. All this we come across in this character, and he's an ideal representative of the secular clergy. And he was a good man, as has been describing. And he will visit the sick or troubled parishioners. Though people, those who are suffering from the sick and suffering from malady, and this parson, he goes and he look after them and he take care of them. So according to Chaucer, and he's the good character. And we have And then the parson is a poor but rich in all holy thoughts and deeds. He never harsh or overbearing in his attitude. He wasn't harsh, he was very good, the parson. He remained calm and unruffled even in times of adversity. Even at the time of adversity, he wasn't bothered, he wasn't worried, and he maintained the situation very well. His whole concern is to attract the people to the church by his gentle methods and by his own examples. So his only fundamental duty is to preach to the student to bring them to the right path. And then and then as a contrast to the corrupt men of religion, the charge portrays and a true and the pious in the parson in the town. He's the only one who's there to stand to help the people, the parson, who's meant for the religious group, who looks after everyone so minutely. So, and here, the perhaps he reflect the poet's idea of the perfect clergyman. So, according to Geoffrey Chaucer, this person he remains as the representative person of the clergy, not the monk, not the prioress, and not any other character. And he is an epitome. He is a model for this religious group because he's there to be serve the people, to help the people when they need. So he's the only representative of the church whom Chaucer admires. So Geoffrey Chaucer, he admires this character. So like the knight, the parson is perhaps an idealization of all that is best in the church. So apart from the knight and apart from the knight and the parson, and we have seen the three important character, that is the monk and the prioress, and other religious character are not completely bound by the duties of the religion. So we come across here. So far I've described the five important character. I've described the knight. I've described the prioress. I described the monk and the wife of Bath and the parson. Probably while reading all these characters, you understand how the Chaucer gave the vividness in portraying this character. And he defends saying that, how does he defend himself? So what is a Chaucer defense after he complete this explanation? See, I have so far explained the five characters, and there are remaining the characters. I want you to read them in your study materials, and certainly that certainly gives you idea and how you have to assess in your examination. So here, coming back to Chaucer, how does it defend here? And Chaucer defends his art of portrayal. Whatever he portrayed so far, it is true. He speaks plainly, which is not due to the lack of his observation, because this is the truth down the line. This is the stark realities of the society, how the people were. So in each and every character, so far what Chaucer described, and we understand, we look into ourselves through the characters. So the Dryden, as I told you, a great poet and a critic, as I told you in the beginning, the way he tells a word, there is a definition, as I told you in the beginning itself. The entire, the Canterbury Tales, the prologue to the Canterbury Tales, here is a God's plenty. I can see the innumerable varieties of people are gathered here. Variegated, the different community of the people all are here. So it is a microcosm of the entire world. Different people are here, so we can look into ourselves through the characters. So that's the reason he said that. How does he say that? I see all the pilgrims, their honors, their features, and their very dress distinctly as if I had supped with them at the tavern. I felt after I read the play, after I read this narrative poem, I felt I had some good time with them, and he called this as here is a God's plenty. So, dear students, I am Dr. Natraj, the chairperson, head of the department. And throughout this 1 hour lecture, I have given you the entire text, the Geoffrey Chaucer, the Canterbury Tales in a nutshell. I also gave you the introductory remarks, how to read the text and all that. Okay, and I want you to download the study material in the website and start reading and immediately read the text. And assignment topics will be uploaded further on. And we also look forward in your examination, in your writing assignments, how well you write, how compact the answer that you write in your answers. So I wish you good luck today, and I wish you all the best. You can talk to me over phone and introducing yourself. And good luck to you people. I wish you all the best, for your examination and all that. And tomorrow, the second day, the 10th, and I also meet you in the first class. The second day, the first class, I'll teach you, the Christopher Marlowe's, the important text that is, uh, the Dr. Faster's tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. I wish you all the best. So attend all the classes. Attend classes without missing. So all the texts are very important. And see you tomorrow then. Okay. Bye.